Daily military reports reported. U.S. President Joe Biden and Japan's Prime Yoshihide Suga presented a united front against China during Suga's visit to Washington on Friday. It was Biden's first in-person summit with a foreign leader since taking office. "We committed to working together to take on the challenges from China and on issues like the East China Sea, the South China Sea, as well as North Korea, to ensure a future of a free and open Indo-Pacific," Biden told a press conference, listing areas that have become the focus of growing regional tension. Suga made a break from past Japanese leaders by openly commenting on China, saying he and Biden held serious talks on China's influence over the peace and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific. "We oppose any attempt to change the status quo by force or coercion," Japan's prime minister added. According to the Japanese prime minister, Suga and Biden reaffirmed the importance of peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait. The comment comes amid Beijing's increased military pressure on the self-ruled island that is claimed as a province by the government of mainland China. Just days before the summit, China sent 25 aircraft, including fighters and nuclear-capable bombers, near Taiwan. Suga made repeated references to the severe security environment in East Asia. Also discussed at the talks was China's tightening grip on Hong Kong and its crackdown on Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang. China's response to criticism from abroad has been increasingly belligerent. Ahead of Suga's visit to the U.S., China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi warned his Japanese counterpart that Tokyo should not get involved in the so-called confrontation between major countries, according to a Chinese government statement. Biden said the United States and Japan will invest together in areas such as 5G, artificial intelligence and quantum computing. China could see this as another blow. It has seen its technology companies face increasing restrictions in the U.S. Huawei, the world's leading producer of ultra-fast 5G network technology, has been targeted with U.S. sanctions. The previous Trump administration, which introduced the sanctions, claims Huawei is a backdoor for Chinese intelligence services to conduct espionage operations via critical infrastructure. Japan and the United States are both deeply invested in innovation and looking to the future, Biden said. That includes making sure we invest in and protect technologies that will maintain and sharpen our competitive edge. Sporting events also made the agenda between the two leaders. Suga said he told Biden about my determination to realize the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games this summer as a symbol of global unity, and that Biden offered his support. The Games, postponed by a year, are set to be the first to go ahead amid a global pandemic. Japan is grappling with rising coronavirus infections with fewer than 100 days until the planned start. During the press conference, Biden commented to Suga on the success of Japanese golfer Hideki Matsuyama in the Masters tournament. The 29-year-old is the first Japanese player to win at Augusta National. "You've got a Japanese boy coming over here, and guess what? He won the Masters," Biden said. The Biden administration is seeking to pivot U.S. foreign policy towards Asia and away from the Middle East. Former President Barack Obama attempted a similar strategy during his 8-year tenure, but his administration became mired in its responses to the 2011 Arab Spring and the rise of the Islamic State, IS. The so-called pivot to Asia also faced criticism after Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine and pro-Russian separatists rejected Kiev's rule in 2014. The two leaders gather in Washington in what will be the U.S. president's first in-person summit with a foreign leader since his January inauguration. The meeting comes as the U.S. seeks to challenge China on issues ranging from human rights to unfair trade practices. Rebuilding U.S. alliances and competing with China are the core of Biden's foreign policy. The in-person meeting with Suga signals that Japan is a linchpin of both efforts, Jonathan Wood, director and lead U.S. analyst at consultancy Control Risks. Biden and Suga are expected to discuss U.S.-Japan security partnership and other potential areas of cooperation during their meeting. That could include climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic and stability in the Taiwan Strait, said analysts. One possible outcome of the summit is an infrastructure plan focusing on high-quality projects such as high-speed 5G internet and clean energy, Nikkei Asia reported last week. Such a U.S. Japan infrastructure cooperation could rival China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, the report said. The Belt and Road Initiative is China's ambitious program to build physical and digital infrastructure that connects hundreds of countries from Asia to the Middle East, Africa and Europe. Many critics consider it Chinese President Xi Jinping's signature foreign policy to expand his country's global influence. Establishing an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative is important to Biden's overall foreign policy agenda in the Indo-Pacific, Neil Thomas, an analyst at risk consultancy Eurasia Group. That's because the best way for Washington to compete with Beijing's economic influence in the Indo-Pacific is to offer a more attractive development option to countries in the region, he added. Even before he was elected as president, Biden had criticized China for financing dirty fossil fuel projects through the Belt and Road Initiative. He brought up the possibility of working with allies to offer alternative sources of financing for lower carbon energy projects. Japan is an important U.S. ally in Asia, where Chinese influence has grown over the last few years. The Biden administration has prioritized Japan in its diplomatic activities in Asia-Pacific. Last month, Biden met virtually with leaders of the so-called Quad Alliance, of which Japan is a member. Some analysts said the informal strategic alliance, which includes the US, Australia and India, could be a way to counter China's influence. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin also visited Tokyo to meet with their Japanese counterparts last month. But Japan treads a fine line between the US, its main security partner, and China, its largest economic partner. And the potential for the US and Japan to become closer is not lost on Beijing. Last week, China's State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi told his Japanese counterpart Toshimitsu Motegi in a phone call that Japan should view China's development with a more positive mentality. Prior to Wang's remarks, Beijing criticized the U.S.-Japan joint statement issued during Blinken and Austin's visit to Tokyo. The statement raised concerns about Chinese behavior in Hong Kong, Xinjiang and the South China Sea that was inconsistent with the existing international order. Beijing shot back, saying the statement maliciously attacks China's foreign policy and flagrantly interferes with its domestic affairs. For Japan, balancing between the US and China right now requires a precise understanding of the intention and scope of US measures, said Wood of Control Risks. Eurasia Group's Thomas said Japan would stop short of supporting US position on human rights issues and policies to selectively decouple from the Chinese economy.